Check. 1, 2. There we go. Hey, let's try this one more time. Here we go. Ready? Hey everybody, Arnaldo Hoffman here with Gear It First. My name's Arnaldo Hoffman. I think we are in the 14th giveaway, which is absolutely amazing how many people have come in. Right off the bat, before I even started, I'm having this guy, James, saying that my talking is distracting because it's too fast. James, I'm going to be blunt with you. I don't have time for the trolls today. So if you don't like the fast talking, feel free to go to another YouTube live stream. There are plenty of them, and most of them are pretty worthless. So if you don't like it, bruh, I'm not forcing you to stay here. Honestly, I don't have time for trolls on the chat today. So we're going to keep this crap productive. Now, that being said, today we are going to talk about lighting. It's going to be fast-paced. We're going to make this quick as far as, the information. I definitely want to do a live Q&A as well. So if you have any questions, make sure to fill them in. I'm going to do my best to be able to try to answer everything. Eliminator will be given a light today. And I got to pull up which light it was that they are giving away. Unfortunately, Albert was not able to be here. He is the one that's overseeing Eliminator lighting. They're getting everything ready and set up for DJ Expo. Now, funny enough, a lot of us, when you think of Eliminator lighting, you may think of, really cheap lights because they have made some really affordable lighting. But I will tell you this, one of my first moving head, actually my very first moving head, was the Eliminator Hulk 150. I just sold those things maybe like 2 to 3 years ago, bought them back in 2005. Those things worked. I mean, my goodness, everything broke around them as far as like the plastic of the case, because one of my guys had dropped the road case and the road case wasn't made for the lights, so the plastic had all broken around, so they looked like skeletons moving around. But those things worked. They were good lights. But they have some new lights. They've got a new factory. They are totally going into a whole new realm of lighting that you guys may not be used to. I know a couple of you guys are saying that you can't hear me. Hit the live button. Well, I guess you wouldn't know, so let me tell them. Soundfire, hit live. Okay, so anyhow, they're bringing out some brand new lights for DJ Expo. I had a chance to see them at Infocom, and by that I mean I had a chance to play around with them, see what's on the inside. Again, brand new factory, new lights. They've got some really cool products coming out. And as affordable as those moving heads are, you're not giving up any lumens. They're bright, they're fast, they're speedy. They're not going to have some of the features the more expensive moving heads are going to have. But if you are in a budget for a light that's not going to break the bank, it's worth definitely taking a look at Eliminator Lighting. They will definitely be there at DJ Expo. So let's go ahead, first of all, and just kind of break it down, really, because I did a live stream. I did a stream yesterday. It was a rant, right? It was basically talking about these DJs that were harping on me because I had done an experiment where I used the term industry icon. And I didn't, I used it in my marketing. It was fake marketing, though. But I sent it to some of my clients. I posted it in some of my social media sites, and I told my clients, look, this is just an experiment. I actually need to pull up that email, too, because it was a fun exchange with one of my clients. But anyhow, what happened is a bunch of DJs started getting real butthurt about it. Well, how dare you call yourself an industry icon, blah, blah, blah. And I did it as an experiment because those same guys that were sitting there pointing fingers didn't realize that on their website they had #1 DJ written, or so-and-so's exclusive DJ, so whatever that means. Or my favorite, they had that their company are the industry leaders. Well, who exactly said that? Like, you're telling me that I shouldn't use the words industry icon because, and again, I did it. I came up with this whole marketing BS to DJs. I was like, well, I'm doing it because I do speak to other DJs. People know who I am, and I'm using that to impress clients. No, that was total crap. But I used that just to try to get them all riled up, and that's exactly what happened. I'm like, okay, so you're riled up because I used that phrase, but you're using a synonym on your website for actual marketing. So anyhow, the reason I kind of brought that video is, A, go watch that video. It's great. I don't think I've ever had that many thumbs down in one video since my Why Serato Sucks Compared to Virtual DJ video. But anyhow, it seems DJs are not only trying to judge each other, but it seems DJs are wanting to impress other DJs with whatever they do. And one of those things is lighting. You hear DJs using wonderful phrases like, well, this light isn't professional. What the hell? If you're making money with it, that's the very definition of professional. Listen, if I incorporate a laser pointer into my show, then that laser pointer thereby becomes professional, like whether you like it or not. By the way, I know some of you guys are saying that there's a delay in the stream. Sorry, I don't know what I can do about that. As far as seeing the Illuminator's new lights, I cannot show you that right now, but I can show you. I actually did some on here first. Make sure you check that out on my on Facebook. But there are some of the new lights that I have been looking at and all that. I will show you those in DJ Expo. But anyhow, so DJs are there trying to impress other DJs because they're so worried about getting judged. But in reality, unless these guys are making it rain on your house bills, family, and everything else, it doesn't matter what the hell they think. So because of that, DJs get into this, big dick contest as far as, well, who's going to get more? I need more lights. This guy got this many lights, blah, blah, blah. And I'm here to tell you, it doesn't matter. And I've done streams or seminars on this before. And I'm going to say the same two things that I've said at every single lighting seminar. One, more doesn't always mean better. It literally is what you can do with it. It doesn't mean that you stay doing nothing. I mean, with no lights. You still want to scale up if your business plan calls for it. If your business plan doesn't call for it, then getting moving heads when you just want to be I don't want to say a budget DJ, but a budget DJ, okay, well, there you go. You don't need to throw moving heads if you want to be a budget DJ. If you want to start offering moving heads and gobo projections, you're no longer a budget DJ. As a matter of fact, you're not even a DJ anymore. Because, see, when I'm DJing, I have my laptop, I have a source of music, whether it's laptop or a USB or actual media. I have my turntables. Some of you may use a controller. Now, I can DJ and rock a party with that. I don't need lights for that because lights is not needed for actual DJing. Now, the same thing with Jazzy Jeff, right? Jazzy Jeff was a mobile beat. They were setting all his stuff up. He had a writer. Nowhere in his writer, I can guarantee you, said, I need this and this moving heads and I need these up lights. No, because that's not DJing. That's doing lighting. Now, that's, I'm not saying if you set up a party, tripod with some party lights, you're a lighting designer. No, you're not. You're a DJ that brought some lights with them. But if you take the lights away, you're still a DJ. Nathan, it started at 9 o'clock, so just about 9 minutes ago. So if you take the lights away, you're still a DJ. But if you take the turntables or the controller or the laptop, any of those elements away, now you're a guy with a light tree. You see where I'm going at with this? So from your DJ business, completely put lights out of that equation. That lights need to go into a separate part of your business plan, and that is supplemental income. Your lights should not be free. And if they are free, you still need to roll that into your business plan. If I'm charging $8.95 for a basic 4-hour party, and then I buy lights and I spend $500 to $1,000 on a basic light show, and I charge, let's say keep it on the low end, $500, and now I have that $500 as part of my basic $8.95 package. I'm making zero money, but I just spent $500. I could put that $500 towards marketing and made more money that way. So add to it. If you're going to add the lighting, so I'm trying to read the conversations. If you're going to add lighting and make it free to your client, now your new 2017 rates are $9.95 with a free light show. Well, what if I don't want the free lighting? It's still $9.95. Yeah, but you don't have to set that up. And a lot of people give us that, right? And I thought about this. I'm like, okay, so it does make sense. I don't have to set up the lights. There's no wear and tear. It's still $9.95. Okay. If my wife loves Red Lobster. I don't because I hate diarrhea. But my wife loves Red Lobster. And Red Lobster, just like every Darden restaurant, does not do substitutions. Like you literally have to talk to a manager to get something substitute half the times, right? And I never understood that. And it's not just them. It's almost everybody. Okay, hey, I would like to have the ultimate feast, but, I don't want the shrimp scampi. And I can substitute the shrimp scampi for something else, but it has to be of lesser value, not of equal value. But if I don't want the shrimp scampi at all, it's still that same price, the $20 or whatever, 30, 40 million, I don't know, that's overpaying. It's still the same price unless I substitute it out. So with that in mind, I'm like, okay, well, fine. If you don't want the main light show, we can substitute it for a few uplights behind your head table or something. But no, you don't get money taken out. If you don't believe me, go to McDonald's and order a cheeseburger without cheese. They're still going to charge you the price of a cheeseburger, even though there's no cheese. But yet, if you order a hamburger and you add cheese to your hamburger, if you get somebody that isn't quite thinking, oh, you should just order a cheeseburger, they're going to put hamburger and then they're going to add cheese. And suddenly that hamburger costs almost as much as a cheeseburger and a half. Keep that in mind next time somebody says, well, if I don't need lights, can you give me a discount? No. The lights are free. Unless you get somebody that thinks that same way and they're like, well, there's no such thing as a free lunch. You upped your package price, didn't you? Yes, but I'm still not removing it. So that's just one of the things to really think about. And the other thing is, some of you just say, well, I just DJ only, and if they want that party lights, I add them for $100. Okay. But if you think the same way that I just mentioned, add those lights for $75 more. And here's why. At Carnival, because we're going on a cruise next week. I'm going on a lot of tangents today, guys. This is like literally, I don't have any notes. I'm making this up on the fly. No joke. This is how I always do because I feel my information is going to be more authentic that way. So I'm going on a cruise next week. And if I spent the $35 for the unlimited sodas, you get your unlimited sodas. I'm like, well, that's a great deal. But not everybody gets the unlimited sodas. And I told my wife, I'm like, it would be so much better that instead of me having to go up to the front and pay for the unlimited sodas, if they just charged $20 more, and it was already included in the tickets. And my wife's like, well, why would they do that? They're making a few dollars less. I'm like, no, because they're already including it in all the tickets, whether they're using the sodas or not. So they're going to make more money in the long run because some people don't drink sodas, but that fee is still there. But they don't know that. Right, because all these little fees get put into one final ticket price. SeaWorld does the same thing. Like for $39, it's pretty much all you can eat at SeaWorld. I'm like, why don't they just charge $30, $10 less? Because not everybody takes advantage of that meal. They're going to make more money and still spend less that way. Now, with that said, with the lights, let's say you have a modest year and you do 50 events. As a single op, that's a good year. But let's say you do 50 events, okay? And let's say 40 of them got lighting, okay? So 40 times $100. If anybody wants to do the math, I'm going to go and do it in front of you, even though I'm really good at math, because somebody actually said that my math was wrong last time when I did this, and it was hilarious. $4,000. I literally had somebody argue this with me when I use different numbers, but still. So you have $4,000 supplemental income. And some of the, when I mentioned, I was like, well, but if I only charge $75, right? So 75 times 40, now I make $1,000 less. It's like, no. You're not adding it on. Now, all your packages are $75, whether or not they book the lighting, or because the lighting is included for free. So now you have your 75 times 50, and here's where the numbers really screw on you. 75 times 50 is $3,750. So then the argument came in like, well, but you're still making less. I'm like, yes, but I'm not telling you to charge 75. You still got to do equilibrium pricing. Again, 50 is a small number. Large for multi-op, really small for a single op. So it was like, let me pull this back up here because I can't remember where the heck it was. If you do it, it is, hold on a second, $3,750. Yes. So $3,750. I'm like, well, you're still making less than $4,000. I'm like, yes. But if that was assuming you booked 40 out of 50 weddings, right? 40 weddings at $100, or excuse me, 40, light shows at $100 each. That's $4,000, right? So actually, this part I do need to do the math on. That's 80%. Do you book 80% lights with all your weddings? No. Okay. Well, then your number completely changes. Next year, you could book, you could have a whole bunch of outdoor daytime weddings where they don't need lights, and now you only make $1,000. So you don't know. So for me, it's like, okay, find what your equilibrium pricing is and figure it out. Now, I can tell you for us on that end, I used to charge, $11.95, and it was $100 more. And now I actually, the pricing went up and all that. I was like, I actually want to charge $12.50. Or excuse me, $12.50. But instead, I'm like, I'm going to do $12.95, and it comes with a basic T-PAR. And whether they get it or not, but a lot of my events, they don't need lighting, or they go and upgrade the lighting because they're like, well, the lighting's already included. Yeah, the lighting's already included. Oh, well, in that case, we have budget for uplighting or whatever. Yeah, no problem. We can, work out a package deal. And suddenly, while I would have actually made less on that T-PAR system alone, because now they think, oh, that's already included, I don't have to spend any more money, I have money for uplighting, which is weird because I charge more than the average DJ. I hope that makes sense so far. But with all that being said, don't be including lighting for free unless you are doing it for free and you have done the math ahead of time. On a more realistic number, actually, this I have to pull up my notes for. Okay, so it was with a school dance company, and they did Sweet 16s, and we went through the numbers on that. They charge $50 for a 4-par cam type light show, and that's if you add it on. And I'm like, how many of those do you get? He goes, well, we book them almost all the time. I'm like, dude, just go ahead and add it to your price. And his price would have been, I want to say it was like $700 after, and then, or $705. I'm like, just take the $5 off, charge $45 each one. He goes, yeah, but I make $5 less. I'm like, yeah, but you're booking it almost every single time. Now you're booking it 100% of the time. He wound up making like 40 or $50 extra. But now when he pitched that to his clients, well, you know what? I offer, DJ, MC, planning. It's an all-inclusive package with basic lighting. Well, what's basic lighting? Well, let me show you. And you show him the basic lighting. I'm like, but you can upgrade and get this and this and this. See, now you're not selling it as a separate package. When you sell it as a separate package, it just sounds like you're buying two things, right? Okay, he's like, well, you can buy this car. Here you go. And you can buy this warranty. And a lot of people don't get that warranty because like, oh, well, I'm buying this and then I'm paying for this. But if you say it, if you sell cars, do it this way. If you say it as, okay, well, this car comes with the standard warranty. You can upgrade. It's an aftermarket warranty, but here's how it works. But you can upgrade to it. It's going to supplement your main warranty. Your car is going to last you pretty much for your whole life under this plan. I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll upgrade. Because most people would rather say, I'll upgrade versus, yeah, I'll buy that too. It's a very, very simple psychological nuance that, remember that. All right. So, okay. Somebody said that if there's buffers, yeah, that is YouTube. I am at 0% drop frames uploading at 3,000. So anyhow, yeah, I was going to say, I'm surprised the chat isn't working. That being said, if you are a relatively newcomer or if you're a single op and you don't have a crap load of lights, and I'm going to sneeze real loud in just a second, so I'm going to dim the volume down for a second. It doesn't mean you need to have a crap load of lights. I'm here to show you that you can do some incredible killer lighting design with very simple lights. Now, it seems that in the DJ industry or even the small production company industry, we're in this group think that if you don't have tens of thousands of dollars in lighting, you're not a lighting designer. That's crap. Or that if you don't have that much lighting, that there's not a lot you can do. And again, I want to show you that you are wrong. I'm actually going to switch screens for a second, and I'm going to go to my good buddy Marvin, Hawaiian DJ. This dude is amazing. So he is the American DJ Mini Decker, and it's actually kind of funny that he is using this one because Elation is giving away their Katana LED, which is like a bigger version of that. So I'm going to show you what he did. Now this one is DMX controlled and all that, and DMX is important. I don't care what you use, but DMX is ultimately going to be really important for you because that's where all the control is. Even if it's not a DMX controller, even if you're using a wireless like anyone, that's still DMX. So just kind of think about that. But I'm going to real quick switch over. I really want you to see real quick what he has going on here. So give me 1 second. So I'm actually on his YouTube page. So go show him some love at Hawaii Events Unlimited. Now, look, I'm going to do that right now, too. Maybe if my mouse would appear. There we go. So click that subscribe button for Hawaii Events Unlimited. But check this out.
Hang on. Here we go. That's the one for the boys. There you go, Mark. There you go.
Now, first of all, actually, I told him I was going to use his videos before, and I'm sure I just caught him by surprise now. Hold on a second. No, like I said, he's not just a DJ, but that's why I wanted to kind of point that out real quick. If you look over here, I mean, his lighting design, first of all, he did two things that are very important. A, he chose the right fixtures for the job. Okay, he did not spend, $50,000 to do this effect. But the other thing that he did is he made it clean and unobtrusive. I don't know where his DJ setup is, but I'm guessing it's where he's filming from. And you don't see all the lights just coming from his DJ area. Even if you just have a very simple 4-bar dots T-par type system, with the 4 par cans, you don't just always put it behind your area. Put it where you know it's going to create a good effect. Because photographers always seem to want to take photos where we're in the background for God knows what reason. And then it's just a giant silhouette. And we're blinding the audience, right? If you have audience here, let's say, for example, you have the audience here. If his DJ setup was right here where the head table is, because some setups are like that, and his lights are going down this way, all you're doing is blinding the audience. So if it were me, and I've had events like that before, I would put the lights by the doors. Oh, look, that's exactly what he did, except that his DJ table wasn't in the front there. It's off to the side. But anyhow, let's go ahead and take a look and see what he does with the derby type effect light.
There you go, man. There you go.
And YouTube said, not today. Let's try that one more time. Here we go. And of course, he even incorporates these lights. These are very simple lights. He's incorporating with advanced options such as video mapping. I mean, look how beautiful that effect is. Oop, actually, yeah, that's the pretty part right there. Like, I love that effect. But he had one tool that you need to have, and that's DMX. Now, in this case, he uses CompuShow, and I wholeheartedly 100% recommend CompuShow. But that's killer. I mean, that is absolutely killer. It's a simple effect. It doesn't cost a lot of money, and he made something that was absolutely great. Now, what he did is, of course, he stacked them. He used multiple versions of those lights. But you're talking $80 each one. You know, like you would never think that an $80 light would be able to create an effect like that. But that's because he did coverage as opposed to brightness. And we're going to talk about that in a bit. You may have to remind me because, again, I'm kind of, doing this directly on the fly. But you don't need to have a super crapload, expensive amount of lighting. You can keep it very simple. And you can do multiple ones of them. You can stack your lights. You can add them with other different types of effects and be creative, be unique. The other thing that I've noticed that a lot of DJs do that I think looks terrible is where they add too many different lights, so it's just like a huge jumble of messes. In this case, Marvin used 3 different effects in those videos you saw. You saw the moving heads, you saw the deckers, and you saw the projection mapping. That's it. He did not have a truss with 45 different types of lights in there, and it looks like an absolutely mess. So, Tori, no, actually he just answered there. He used 6 to 8 of those lights. So again, it just really kind of keep that in mind. And again, I absolutely love that effect. That is why I was really happy when Illuminator jumped in and they said, well, hey, you know what? We'll give away one of the katanas. Katana, very similar type of effect. Actually, it's pretty much identical. And it has the red, green, blue. Actually, let me switch over so you guys can see this. There you go. So you have your red, green, blue, white LEDs. You do have DMX, Master and Slave. And on the back here, you have power out, but not IEC power out. You have like an actual power out. I thought that was pretty cool. And then you have your DMX in, DMX out, mic sensitivity. So yeah, one of the lights, it's again very similar to what Marvin used. That's what Illuminator is giving away. So you only need like 5 more of them, and you can do an absolutely killer setup. Just something beautiful like that. And again, it's $129.99, but that's, MSRP, which nobody ever does. Everybody usually pays below map. But again, we'll talk a little bit more about Illuminator and everything that they are going to do. But now let's talk about the next part. And that is, you don't have to have, the whole, well, what's overkill? Overkill is to the point that it's too much, that it's not necessary. But then if you focus too much on overkill, then it's okay, well, it's not bright enough. And that's the way that I see it. It's like, okay, well, to me, overkill is not as big of an issue because I can dim down lights, but I cannot make a light brighter. At the same time, overkill to me, and I would pull up some photos, but I don't want to be mean. But there's a shitload of DJs that have, like trussing or parkings, and there's like 40 different lights all different kinds. Like, it's not even symmetrical. You guys have seen those setups. That's overkill. And they still don't fill up the room with light, but it looks overkill. And you could say, okay, well, we're professionals. We do this for a living. We're going to be more picky. Perhaps. And maybe the bride and groom don't care, but you don't think they're going to care when they see their photos? Like, damn, oh, that huge mess of lights, not even cables. It could be the neatest setup ever, but there's too many lights and it looks all jumbled and not symmetrical. That's going to stick out like a sore thumbs in photos. So that's one of the things to think about. So let's talk about why you don't necessarily need to go overkill. Again, overkill, going with how many lights. I buy bright, and I try to buy as bright as possible and not have to worry about it for a long time. So I had an event a while back, and it was a really cool event. It looked like it was outdoors. Actually, here, I'll show you. Let me switch over. And guys, this may go past 10 o'clock, so I'm just giving you a warning. Get yourself a cup of coffee. We're going to be here for a while, because I just realized it's already 9:30, and I'm only a third into this. So this was an indoor venue, but it looks like it's outdoors. How cool is that, right? And the bride at first, like, I don't want any lighting at all. And I'm looking at this venue. I'm like, oh, this place is gorgeous. I'm like, why don't you want lighting? She goes, I just think it's tacky. I don't want to see, tripods everywhere. I'm like, no, I totally get it. I'm like, we don't need tripods. I can hang the lights. We can ring the lights from all the I-beams. I check with the venue. We got load limits. And really, I didn't need to get a load limit for 4 lights, but sure enough, we did. And what I did is I chose 4 of the ADJ QWH5s. Now, if I was traveling back in time, I would be using the Wi-Fi hexes. But I used the QWHs, and I had a Wi-Fi. This was Wi-Flex at that point. And I also had the event bar, which is like the 4 small white moving heads. And I'm like, look, we can light up the entire area with color. I'm going to use these special filters. They're called LSF, light shaping filters. And what it's going to do is going to fill the entire room with colors. All I'm going to need is 4 lights. You're not going to see them. And she went for it. And this costs way more than just setting up a light tree. Way more. But she wanted that effect. She wanted the aesthetic. She didn't want it to look overkill. She called 4 lights on a tree or a tripod overkill. But these 4 lights were not overkill because it didn't look like light shows. You know what I mean? Like, you couldn't even see them unless you looked up, and you were not going to look up with everything else that was going on around you. So let's kind of look and see what happens here. 4 lights, that's a pretty big room. And you would think, Arnaldo, that's not enough. The sun doesn't set. The sun did not set until 3 hours into this wedding. It's like, this isn't going to look good. But if you look at the photos, it's in the middle of the day. The sun's shining in, and you can still see some of the purple, which were their wedding colors. And it was just perfect. I didn't need it to fill up the area, but I wanted to hit those tablecloths and everything else. I wanted that purple to really pop out because that's what the bride's, main request is. I'm like, yeah, we can do it. So again, we did not have to go overkill, because when the lights dimmed, what they do is everybody left to go do the bouquet and garter toss out by the gardens, and then they come back and we hung these really pretty lanterns you can see there. And by the time that we got back and everything else, the whole room was completely lit up. It was nice and dark outside. Actually, oh my goodness, the guy that plays the Green Goblin was outside of the wedding at a candy shop next door. But look at this, just beautiful colors. It gave her that nightclub feel without it looking tacky or anything like that. Let's take a look at some of the videos. Again, you don't see any of the lights or the lighting in there except up high. And I know it looks green. That's not green. That was a mint color. The camera just does not want to pick up blue at all. You don't use green where at all possible. And it was a really cramped area. I actually had the lighting console on a table because this was a restaurant. William Dafoe, thank you. That's the guy who played. I could not remember. Now you can see actually the lighting, or my DJ setup there. And the lighting setup was right behind me. It was a very cramped area. See, there's the booth there. And my lighting tech was filming for me, so I was running the lights at the same time that I was DJing, so I can get him to give me some footage. So again, that's just an example there where we did not have to go crazy and set up tons and tons of lights. But if I want to do that type of effect for another wedding and it's in a much bigger room, well, that light show is not going to cut it. The light show is not going to fill, a large, like for example, there's an area around us or a ballroom around us called Lake Ashton. And yeah, Lake Ashton is a very, very big room. Those 4 lights are just simply they're not going to cut it. So I'm actually going to show you an example of what that looks like here. Hang on one second. Oh, I don't have the wedding thing pulled up, so give me a second. I'm just going to pull up the local one here. There's another building that's a little bit smaller than that called the Magnolia Building. And even the Magnolia Building, the room was way too big for just 4 lights. So we used the dots matrices, right? Or matrices, I guess would be. Let's see here. Matt asked, why no green? It makes people look like they're sick. Once they're dancing, I don't worry about it as much. But if there's a photographer there, I try to avoid green as much as possible. Or they look like the Incredible Hulk. So in this one here, yeah, those 4 lights, we're not going to cut it. So we stepped it up. And we used the dots matrices. And you can actually see, let's see, there it is right there. Whoops, sorry. You can see the dots matrix on each side. We have 2 InnoSpot Pros. And even with the sun shining in, you see the purple, you see the gobo pattern of the InnoSpot Pros. And it just looked so damn good the whole time. Now, granted, this setup cost even more, even though we were on rigging, again, because it was bigger lighting, and they wanted to go all out in that case. And this was an Indian like Western Indian / Eastern Indian Guyanese wedding. So they had some cool stuff, like they had the groom, he was singing her a song. We had some special dancers that came in. Let me see if I have. Yeah, you can see it there. And having the moving heads, we can sell the moving heads that, hey, with the moving heads, especially the InnoSpot Pros, right, because they're large moving heads, we sold them as, hey, we can do special effects during dancing, but then we can do a spotlight for your first dance. We can light up the cake. And that's something I've always pushed with the moving head, especially for weddings. And then I had a DJ's like, well, I don't have a big budget for the moving head, so or at least at that point in time, so I guess I'm not going to be able to do anything with events. So I want to show you this wedding. Give me a second here. I'm going to pull it up. It was one of my Jamaican weddings. It was a really fun wedding. I just need to find where the heck it was at. Oh, man, do I not have it on here? This particular wedding, again, we were keeping it very simple. They didn't pay for any of the extra lighting, like, moving heads, doing the cake spot and all that. But I brought in my T-Par, and for the lights, because I always try to mix up lights a little bit, I decided to bring in the InnoSpot Twins, and that's actually what I'm trying to find. Oh, man, I usually don't remember their names at all, or I always remember their names, and I cannot find it. Anyhow, I used the InnoSpot Twins, and this was a much smaller room. It was about maybe like 100 by 50. But the sides weren't used at all. So the cake was maybe about 30, 40 feet away from me. So yeah, during the cake, before the cake cutting, I went, this was back when I had the Wi-Fi NE1. I took the Wi-Fi NE1 and I just went ahead and I pin spotted the cake, or well, at that point it was a full spot on the cake. And when they did the cake cutting, bam, the lights hit it. And I did that mostly, because again, I wanted to, give them something a little bit nice. But I also did it so I could show other DJs, look, you don't need to have a set of $1,000 moving heads to be able to do this. I was able to do this with the actual, DJ lights, the InnoSpot Twins. Those things are pretty bright. On the chat, somebody's saying blacklight is a wedding. No, until late in the dance. Yeah, I mean, you have to be careful with UV lights because their underwear can come through. So yeah, that you got to be careful about. And even, fake teeth will show in blacklight. Mac just beat me to it. But, of course, I've definitely used blacklights for weddings. I know Jason Jana has used them. Like, he'll throw out the gloves, and he does, like, this whole big rave thing in the middle of the wedding. I have used blacklights even during the first dance. I dim them down, though. But I use them with effects lights like the hexes, and I did it for a New Year's Eve wedding because they wanted everything to pop. They wanted a little bit of a glow. It looked really cool with the dress, but again, it was very subtle. You could not actually tell unless I shut them off. You're like, wait, where did the glow go? But it didn't mess with their teeth or anything like that because all the other lights were overriding those UV lights. I hope that makes sense. So let me real quick show you back this wedding here. I just remember halfway through. Let's see here, because it was in St. Pete, so I had to pull that up. So there's my setup there, and you can see my T-Par and the InnoSpot twins. And they are they're not exactly behind me because, A, I don't want tripods behind me, but this was the only place I could really put things at. You can see here that people actually ate outside, like there's a restaurant area. So this was all dancing pretty much at that point when they came in. I know that they did bring down tables on the other side there for people to eat or to be able to sit down and eat while they were dancing. The Dots T-Par easily filled up the entire show, but when we were doing the toast and all that, there's the InnoSpot twins lighting them up. Pretty bright too. You can actually see the shadows and everything else. So the photographer liked that because they didn't have to worry about the yellow lights that the hotel had. Bride and groom, of course, loved that. And I liked it because, hey, I was able to show DJs, look, you can do this with simple lights. And I really wish I thought I took a photo of the cake, but the cake was so freaking bright. It looked really cool. And again, that was done with the InnoSpot twins. There's the Dots T-Par, and there is the Icon Profile LED. So, and I know you guys can hear Get Low in there. But let's make it even simpler. Let's talk about just two lights. What can you do with two lights? Way back in the day, when the Tri-64 came out, right? The ADJ Tri-64 had come out. I had a couple of those. And I put some of the diffusion filters on them. And this was in a room with a balcony. So let's go over here and let's take a look at that. There is my system. Look, that's how far back you can tell it was. There was actually bows up in this thing here, okay? So there is my DJ system. Okay, there's my bows. There's back when I had turntables, different cases, and I had Techniques. All right, you can see that I don't ever wear dress shoes. I actually wear sneaks. And there are just two lights. I actually got permission from engineering to just hang them off the balcony there. I mean, really, do you need a load rating for a small light like that? But no, if it falls, you just never know. And you may say, well, how bright? I mean, that's a pretty big room. How bright can two lights do it? Well, it's all about coverage. Yeah, they're bright, but we want to make sure the coverage is there. So you can see here, this is with the lights on and everything else, and there's some lights still coming in, but there's the two lights, and bam, it's hitting it. In reality, I should have done one on this side, one on the other side, but this was like a last-minute thing that I decided to do because I usually mounted them on top of the bows. I'm like, you know what, let's put them on top, and I only had enough DMX cable because I had them on a remote control. I had enough DMX cable to get them to communicate with each other. So hopefully that gives you kind of an idea as far as, look, you can do some incredible things. I mean, look at this photo. That red, that's not the wall. Those are my lights. And just look at that beautiful color just done from two lights. It's understanding two different things, and that's brightness versus coverage. It's almost like speakers, right? You've got volume. I can have a speaker that's really, 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 really loud. And if I have it here and my crowd's here, there's going to be drop off because, first of all, yeah, it's loud. So all these people are absorbing the sound and they're getting deafened by that speaker. People in the back are still hearing the music, but not as much. And the people here are just like, those things are so freaking, loud. Well, so what I did is I can take those same two speakers. I can bring them up, tilt them a little bit. So instead of going like this, we're going to tilt them. And now those two speakers are flooding the whole area with color with sound. Okay, you got the 90 by 60 pattern, so make sure that you watch out for any filtering or phasing, and you're good. Well, the same thing with lights, right? Yeah, a light can be super, super bright, but if it's super bright and it's only, let's say, 40 degrees, and your light's only 6 feet off the ground, 10 feet off the ground, okay, well, great. You've got one area that's spot and not the rest of the room. And it's not because the light wasn't bright, but because you don't have that coverage. So how do you get more coverage out of lights? LSF. First of all, it's the most important part. It's called light shaping filter. ADJ, Elation, they all sell them. Basically, I can take a light, I can completely diffuse it, or I can shape it so it's 1 degree by 60, so you can use it for uplighting. So think about that for a minute, right? You've got that kind of, you want to have that kind of coverage. So for example, Eliminator, oh my goodness, I got to pull it up on my Instagram. They just released a couple lights that would be a perfect example of that. So let me pull this up, and I'm going to show you. Actually, I'll just do it here. Eliminator Lighting Instagram. Lighting Instagram. There we go. And some of these lights may look familiar, but they're going to bring down the price on them. They're going to make them super cool, awesome, high five. So let's switch over to their Instagram, shall we? Ta-da! So, I know some of you guys may say, hey, these park cams look a little familiar, but Eliminator is going to do some differences. One of them is that it's a little bit more affordable. Now, in this case, with this light, if you put a diffusion filter on it, you're going to lose out on that laser effect because it's going to block out, that effect. Though you could take the diffusion gel and you can cut a hole in the center so the laser can still go through. The strobes are going to go through, but they're not going to be as impact. Like, they're not going to have as much of an impact, as much of a punch, right? And maybe that's okay for a wedding, because if your lights are only 8 feet up off the ground, do you really want strobe lights that are not diffused hitting your crowd? So now you could maybe use strobe lights on DMX and have them solid white on. So when you're doing the bouquet and garter toss, you can now have a nice solid white light. So think about that for a minute. But now I can take this park can, put a diffusion gel on it, and now this park can will give me the coverage of 2 lights, maybe even 3. Okay, they won't be as bright because we're spreading it out. But again, if one light isn't bright enough to flood a whole room, it's not because maybe the light isn't bright enough, but because the coverage isn't there. So hopefully that makes sense. So that was one of the things that I thought was pretty neat there. The moving heads. We'll talk about the moving heads later on there. But actually, this is a perfect example, right? Here's a setup that they posted, and you can actually see here they've got a couple of different of their lights there, and there's not a lot of lighting here. And that's not because the light isn't bright enough. It's just because that's where the beam really shapes in, and that's where it's hitting. But with that diffusion gel, you could light up that entire facade. So again, just kind of keep that in mind as you do some of your lighting design. And again, guys, this is actually where you guys can... No, that's not a Swarm FX. Guys, this is Eliminators. That's their new light. Anyhow, we're not showing other lighting companies. But anyhow, so if you guys have any questions in the chat, please go ahead and fill them in. Put them in now because I want to start taking questions in right away. So let's kind of switch the chat from every other topic to that. But again, just kind of really keep in mind as far as the brightness, coverage. Just because the light isn't bright enough, I cannot say this enough. Doesn't mean that it's not bright enough, that it's not producing enough lumens, but the lumens are going this direction. You want them to go that direction. Well, you can't do that. So you either have to buy more lights or you've got to diffuse them out, or maybe a bit of both. I mean, you still can't beat physics. You can't beat the power of the sun. So in that case, you may need more lights than that. And then you also have to remember that wattage doesn't mean a damn thing. Wattage is not a measure of brightness. I've said this too many times. It's lumens that you want to look at. Go look at videos of people actually using them at events, not, just showing you a video in their office. Look at actual gig log videos where DJs are using them and try to, maybe make... It's like, okay, well, this room looks similar to the one I've been at. Here's how many I'm going to need, etc., or whatnot. But again, look at the lumens output. Don't look at wattage because wattage means nothing. Yeah, and I'm just messing with you. Yeah, it's a very similar light to some of the other ones. But again, Eliminator's got quite a few tricks up their sleeve, so it's definitely one to check. So again, I'm going to copy and paste the questions. So guys, if you can just leave the chat right now for questions only, that would be great so I can start answering them. So now's your chance to ask any lighting question. That would be great. The other thing also, again, to really think about is your lighting types. I do see a lot of DJs that just focus on beams, and get out of that. If you don't have floods, the very first thing you need is floods. You want to flood the area with colors, because floods you can use as uplights, you can use as floodlights, obviously. You can use them as spot effects, especially with the LSF type or any kind of diffusion filter, or one of the LSFs shapes it to 10 degrees. So if you got a 60-degree light, you can bring it down to 10 degrees, and now you can use it almost to spot a cake as opposed to wash the cake and the table and everything else around it. So the very first thing you need to have is a flood light. But then you also want to look into, okay, well, what kind of floods can I afford? What kind of floods do I need? You don't need to have a super expensive floodlight to make it work, right? Eliminator has actually a couple different ones, and I don't know if it's on their website yet. But one of the ones that they have the Indy PARs, which are the PAR 60 or the IP65 uplights. those are great. You know, you can use them as uplights. I don't know if you can hang them. I'd have to check that out, but they are DMX controlled and all that. So that is one of the options there. Hey, if you're going to do an outdoor event, you go with an IP rated fixture were at all possible. But then they also have these new lights here. Oh man, I don't know if they have them on here yet. They had them at DJ Expo and it was crazy. Yes, here they are. Okay, check these out. These are only like $30 each light, which blows my freaking mind. These guys right here. Okay, so it's a very, very tight beam. You are not going to use these to flood a dance floor unless you buy multiple ones of them and you have the LSF filter. But they're incredible. I mean, they're $30 each, and they do have a really nice punchy beam. They're not the tri-LEDs. They're individual color LEDs. There are 12 of them. So it's got 3 green, 3 blue, quad color. So it's got 3 red, 3 green, 3 blue, and 3 white. But they're not the individual quad color LEDs. But again, if you don't have floods and you don't have the money for right now, go with those. Those are great. But get yourself those LSF filters, or get yourself a whole bunch of those, because again, they're a very tight beam. So if you are doing, for example, I do a lot of decor effects for my proms, and we do a lot of stuff where they want black lights, but they don't want black lights everywhere. They just want to have like maybe just 1 or 2 items going in black lights. We're going to pick up these, because first, this gives me the white light, the UV light, and it gives me white light. So this is going to be perfect to be able to just pinpoint something, but still have like a nice soft edge around it. And then you have the actual, UV around it or whatnot. And somebody said, oh, I found the China version. Yeah, look, these guys, even though they may look like the China lights, while they're made in China, they have their own factories. The China ones are clones. So if you buy stuff from China, and let me put my face on this when I say this so you can see how angry I am. If you buy crap from China, don't be upset when a bride decides to do a wedding on her own or find a cheap DJ, because you are being that cheap DJ. So don't do it, Ian. Come on, you know better than that. Anyhow, yeah. So stop being cheap. That all being said, when you go through a U.S. manufacturer, or, company that, even though the lights are made in China, you still have the warranty, and you also have UL and CE ratings, which none of those China lights have. They may say they do, but they're lying to you. And hey, if you're willing to risk your company and your insurance, by all means, go for it. Not my business. So, anyhow, that all being said, where was I on that? Because now the whole China thing just got me in a tangent. Yeah, so you definitely want to go with floods of some different kind. After that, okay, well, what kind of effects am I going to get? Well, you get some DJs do the multi-effects, right? You've got your lasers, you've got your light, your little moving lights, everything else. And some people say, well, if I don't have any haze, those lights are worthless. And to the most part, I agree. But every now and then I've used, the moonflower type lights just to throw some sort of movement out on the dance floor. Because if it's a big, big room, and there's only like maybe 75 people at that wedding in general, having a little bit of that rapid movement on the dance floor at least makes the dance floor look busier than it is. So that's one of the things to really kind of keep in mind. It's not necessarily bad. And the lasers aren't bad either. I mean, we think they're corny, but most brides and grooms and corporate events, some of them just don't care. However, if you do it during the first dance, you're a horrible human being and you should just be like taken out to the back. Do not do lasers during your first dance. None, zero, not at all. Terrible. Don't do it. Please don't do it. And again, guys, make sure, please keep the, keep the chat topic relevant. Any links or discussions about buying them direct from somebody else, I'm just going to eventually delete the comment or delete you, because really, guys, please support the people that are supporting this channel and bringing this content to you. That's rude and obnoxious, just straight up. So if you guys want to hear a rant about that, Ian, you're about to be the face of that rant. Come on, bro. Like, dude. Like, we have Eliminator Lighting being gracious enough to host a seminar for you guys. Oh, here's where I found them really cheap. And not only that, but even if you buy the lights from the manufacturer through a website like eBay or Amazon, you're not supporting the retailers and the dealers that actually work hard to bring you good customer service. So again, do not bitch about cheap clients if you guys do that as well. So come on, Ian. I love you, man, but you know better than that, bro. So with that out of the way, yeah, I mean, if you're going to go for like the lights with the lasers and all that, I don't care for them personally. but I've had some clients that, like the movements and all that. That's fine, but just turn them off during the first dance. I do recommend, if you want to go into moving heads, understand, okay, what do you want to use a moving head for? If you don't have any haze at all, don't worry about a spot. I just don't get it. I don't get using a spot unless you're going to use it specifically to, to spot a bride and groom. There's no reason for you to have a spotlight. Well, and this is something actually that even people in the company, Kelly, who's the CEO on the wedding side and all that, he and I get into this debate all the time. He's like, well, I like the gobos. See, but nobody else dances around going, ooh, there's a moon. Ooh, there's a star. Ooh, there's Lucky Charms. No bride does that. I've never seen a bride do that. So for my weddings, I'll use the InnoSpot twins if I'm going to be doing, if it's a basic lighting, I'm just real quick plugging them in, want to get up and go. But if the lighting, and again, Ian, I'm just messing with you. If the lighting or the bride and groom actually want aesthetic effects with the moving heads, but they don't have a huge budget, no, I'm not going to send them with spots unless, they're trying to do some sort of club event and there's haze in the air, because I just think it's worthless. I will go with some sort of wash, maybe something that could zoom in and out. I have tons of different lights, a couple different manufacturers that are just LEDs. That's it. There's no gobo. They have different colors and they can create a beam, and then you can zoom in, zoom out. I'm actually going to see if I can find it here. I know that Eliminator had one that was actually pretty cool. Oh, where is it? It was one of the new Stealth series that they had. It was a different type of effect. But basically, I like the lights that just create just a big wash spot, because maybe in that case, I won't bring the floods and I'll just use those moving heads and just create washes on the dance floor. But if the bride and groom want some sort of spot effect, if they want to spotlight the cake, if they want to spotlight the toast, if they want to spotlight the door for the first dancing, yeah, you're going to go over the spot. And you can get into it at a good price. They have the stealth spot. And again, this is the MSRP, but it's actually, it's a great light. It's 60-watt power draw on the LED, which, super lightweight, but dude, those suckers are bright. And it's red, green, blue, white, 4-in-1 LED, I guess, according to this is what it says. I actually have not had a chance to open the light up, but here, I'll go ahead and put it up here so you can see it. It is pretty bright. And if I'm, if I can, especially if I can use haze, yeah, this is a perfect moving head, if you're on a budget and you want something bright like that. But if you're not, then if you're not going to use hazing, you're not going to sell the spotlight and all that, but you want some sort of movement, then find something that has a prism, or even look at the Craze. And the Craze is actually pretty neat. Oh, they don't have a video of it. Basically, it splits the beam into the output into 4 individual beams, and it spins around, and it just creates a really cool effect. And yeah, this is one you definitely need haze for. But even without haze, I'll take them and I'll just point them at the dance floor. And the reason that I do this, just like I said earlier, I want to have some sort of movement. I need to have something out on the dance floor when people are there. If it's a big area and not a lot of people, I want people as they're looking, looking at the dance floor, that it looks busy with people dancing with lights on the floor. So can Ian come out of the corner now? It's a small light. It's literally about this big. Check out their Instagram. I actually did a video for them on Instagram, and you can see some of the stuff on there. So definitely worth checking out. And they've usually done a photo booth. They've done a booth with Global Trust America because they're all sister companies. But I think they have, from what I understand, they have their own booth. So definitely worth checking out, especially at DJ Expo. It's going to blow your mind, some of the stuff that they do in there, especially at the price. So again, just kind of really keep that in mind. Understand when you're going into moving heads, am I using haze? Am I not using haze? If I'm not using haze, does this make the light, I don't want to say useless, but does it make you useless? And a lot of people will tell you yes, but there are ways to not have haze and still have a lot of fun with the light. The interesting part is that I've had a lot of events here in Florida because it's so humid that you don't need haze and you can still see the stuff up in the air. So yeah, keep that in mind because a lot of it is just sweat and it's nasty. And yeah, a lot of you guys I know have seen Eliminator lighting. I know you guys don't know a lot about Eliminator lighting. They've been around for a very, very long time. But the interesting thing about Eliminator is that they're going through a rebranding, as you can tell. They're coming up with a whole bunch of new lights. They hit us all with those beautiful letters. If you guys have not seen the letters, And I guess I can go ahead and show you some of the new stuff too, since they just put it on the website and I can talk about it. They have Love, they have Mr. and Mrs. They also have a bag, and they just added the Decor 10C right here, which I guess is a package. But you can see here that it has the I Do, which I thought was pretty neat. Actually, I don't know if that's, no, that's not theirs. I think that's somebody else's. Oh, never mind. I was all excited for a second. But they do have the Decor package here, which is your big tall poles. And, normally you need trussing for that kind of stuff. If you just want to create the glow effect, don't put any lights on it. It's not a totem, but it's just a really unique way. So if you have the letters, you can incorporate it. These I Do's, I don't believe are eliminators, but the Decor 10Cs, I mean, these things are 10 feet tall. Just a really unique way to be able to make some extra money, because bride and grooms love stuff like that. But yeah, definitely check that out. I don't want to say too much on the letters. I do know they're going to add one more type of event. They haven't done individual letters, and I can tell you that right up front is because it's a skewing nightmare to have for each type of letter, and the controllers can only support so many letters. So it's kind of like, selling them in kits, I guess, is much easier for them in there. Blake, if you cannot get Eliminator in Canada, let me see real quick if I can text Albert, and let's see what we can do real quick. Hang on 1 second. I have somebody on the live stream saying they cannot get Eliminator in Canada, period. Any thoughts? Question mark. So, yeah, we'll find out about that. I mean, I guess the thing is with the whole Canada restrictions on electricity, you can't just bring one in from U.S. I don't know how that works, but send me a message on Facebook. I'll post my Facebook right now. I'll do my best to be able to help you out. Let me go back over here. So anyhow, they do have some really cool stuff. Definitely go check their website out at eliminatorlighting.com. Again, and some of the stuff may not be in your budget yet, but it's not about, you don't need to get, I need, I have to have 4 moving heads. No, you don't. You got to find without moving heads now. Why do you need them now? It's only if your business plan says, here's how I'm going to make more money with moving heads. Okay, well, in that case, then you're going to need to incorporate moving heads. But for now, if you don't have any lighting, the very first thing you should start off with is a flood. RLG asked how I got involved with promoting the company. It basically, they do, they do work with Global Trust America, and you guys know the Global Trust and ADJ and Eliminator, they're all sister companies. But they contacted me, they saw the live streams, and they said, hey, we would like to, offer a light. And I would not push a manufacturer unless I have used their products and I've had good success with them. I've used the letters. I had a letter die out on me because UPS sucks. And they just punched a hole through the side of the box. I mean, you could even tell where the forklift went through it. Eliminator got me taken care of right away. Ordered another set of letters. They came in great. They've been very good. I lost the remote. They have a great parts department. They were able to send me another remote for the letter. So they've been good. Like I said, I had the moving heads. They were my first moving heads. And yeah, so definitely worth checking out on that. Anyhow, again, guys, any more questions, make sure you go ahead and fill them in because I am getting ready to start closing out as far as picking out the winner and all that. But I mean, that's really it. You don't have to succumb into having to spend tens of thousands of dollars because I feel DJs do that and then they mess up and they're like, oh, no, I'm just not going to go into lighting. There's no money in it. There's absolutely money in lighting. Lighting is great. As a matter of fact, I make more on lighting gigs than the most DJs make on their actual, DJ gig. I can set up the letters and charge, $300, and there's DJs in my area doing weddings for $150. I just discovered. So there is money in lighting, but good lighting design allows you to create amazing stuff out of a limited tool set, and I don't say limited in a bad way. Because you can set up too many lights and it looks overkill because it's so tacky. And that's why it's so important that you get the right lights the first time, what you know is going to work for you. And understanding that you need to clean up your cables. Don't have a rat's nest everywhere. You don't need to go and jump right into an expensive DMX program if you're a single op. Look into something like the Airstream DMX. If you want like a real lighting console, but you don't have the budget for a real lighting console, you could even look into something like the Emulation Touch. which this is a lot more difficult, or not difficult, but more user intensive than something like the Airstream. But I get a lot of people like, no, I want to run something similar to the emulation desktop program, or I have Linux. This will actually run on Linux. You got to understand, you got to make a business plan and figure out, and I can't say enough, you got to make a business plan and figure out, here's what I want to do with my lights, here's where the money I want to make, I plan on working by myself. Okay, now let's come up with a light show that you can do by yourself, that you can set up, run, and operate by yourself. And again, the higher you hang a light, the more coverage it's going to give you, so long the lumens will shoot far enough. Again, brightness doesn't mean the one light's going to fill an entire room, because you still have that beam angle, right? And the field angle. But you've got that angle there, so if it's not hitting this area, it doesn't matter how bright the light is. It could be, a million lumens, and it's still not going to hit that area unless the lighting bounces off the wall, or there's, stray photons bouncing around. But again, just really keep that in mind. Diffuse the lights if you need to. Get additional lighting because you want that coverage. Coverage. And start off with floods. Plain and simple. Start off with floods before anything else. I promise you, start off with floods. Let's see here. I am writing all the questions. So let's go ahead and start with some of the questions. If you guys could do me a favor, don't type anything but questions right now, so that way I don't have to keep scrolling back and forth. So first of all, where is it? Damn it. Sorry, guys. Let's see. So Victor asks, have I ever created a list of essential lights for the various levels of DJs, beginner, advanced, or expert? I've done videos before, but I've never done a list because that list changes. Because even when I'm doing my basic weddings, I always bring out different lights. The most important part are floods. So sometimes I will actually, I guess I'll come over here and I will pull this up so you guys can see it. So give me 1 second here. Let's see, and I could put it on my gig log, on my blog, because I have all my photos and folders. But actually, you know what? It'll be much easier doing it this way. So let's see here, client photos. Sometimes I keep my lights simple, Victor. And what I've done with that is I have 2 lights. Doesn't matter what they are. I just have 2 floods. A lot of times I'll diffuse them. Like you see here, it's not a very large dance floor. So setting up a 4-part system might be a little much. I don't necessarily need that. So in this case, I just brought in, there you go, there's my system. I'm stuck in a corner in this country club there. And notice that I bounced the lights off the ceiling because it's a low ceiling, and the ceiling acts as a diffuser. Very similar to when a photographer points their flash backwards and bounces the light off the ceiling. Let's see here. I'm trying to pull up another one there. But anyhow, these are wireless lights there. You can actually see that this one is completely wireless. This one, the battery was kind of dying on me, so I actually went IEC out from my sub because I have a splitter cable. I have it going into the light, then I have IEC out from the light into this. Because a lot of ADJs, and I believe even Illuminator, a lot of the lights are not fused on the output. So that means that if it's a 60-watt light and it's a 1 amp fuse, you can still plug in like a 2 amp speaker or something like that. I got to check with Illuminator on that one, but for the most part, the 3 companies have been pretty consistent with that. But then again, sometimes I wind up bringing a whole TPAR system. And the TPAR, like the DOTS TPAR or any of those type of lights, will easily flood the entire dance floor if I need it to. Let me pull up here. I think Jake's Bar Mitzvah was a pretty good example. No, that one, I forgot, was in the middle of the day. I did a Bar Mitzvah that was very simple, and we just had that. Let's see. There we go. There's a TPAR system. In this case, I actually hung it off the pipe and drape there. And that's with just the black lights there. And that's with the TPAR system. And that flooded the area pretty nicely. Let's see. Here's a wedding right here. Again, TPAR system. I put it in the corner away from me. So it's nowhere near my area. It's on the other side of the room. Oh, I don't have any photos of that one. But you can actually see, other than the uplighting, you don't see the TPAR system anywhere. It's on the other side of the photo, but there's a tall tree like that, and I put the TPAR system there. It's wirelessly controlled. Bam, hit the entire area with colors because we use the lenses to really focus those lights in. Let's see here. Let's go to the next question again. So yeah, I'm sorry, back to Victor's question. So no, I don't have a list because I feel like every setup can call for something entirely different. Especially if you do much more advanced lighting stuff. I can tell you what my favorite lights are, but they wind up changing every day because, you're seeing this live stream. I'm ADD in that sense, but hopefully the tips that I gave you will kind of give you an idea of finding what's essential for your company. GS Lighting Solution asks, do you offset strobing or do you keep them syncopated? It depends. A lot of times, if I don't want to spread out across different DMX channels, I offset them. Or I'll use the flash effect when that's where they strobe to the beat of the music. It's built into a lot of lights. So that way they strobe offset and I'm still using the one DMX channel or, the same DMX channel for all of them. Loud and Clear Texas says, can't the LSS be rotated to a different diffusion angle, like 1 up to 60? How do you make it where you can adjust it? You cut them into squares and they go into the gel holders. So it depends on the LSF. Some are 10, 20, and then my favorite is the 1x60. And the 1x60, yeah, you literally turn the light and you watch that beam go from here to there as you rotate the light or the gel. I have lights that don't have gel holders at all, so I just cut the light or the roll. I cut them to fit around the lights. I put Velcro dots on them, and I just use the Velcro, and that has worked out pretty well. Mike Serta asks if I caught that Pokemon. Let's see here. Yeah, you're talking about Poliwhirl. Yes, I did catch that Poliwhirl. Actually, that was the first Poliwhirl that I caught there. So that was fun. Day and Night DJs ask what table that was for my trusses. Not a lighting question, but that's cool. No worries. I'm just messing with you. Right there. Yeah, that's basically my system. I added 4 half couplers, actually 2 half couplers on each side, and there are my totems. And I put them on these rubber mats because of the wooden floor. I don't want to scratch the wooden floor. So, yeah, that's my custom system there. Let's see here. We have blah, 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 blah. RLG222. Oh, I already answered your question. Ian Moon asks, Arnaldo, do you recommend a wireless battery light to flood the bride and groom first stands, but from the floor up? Can't use any poles or nothing on ceiling. Okay, let me do... So, basically, they're dancing. And then we have an uplight up. No, because then you're going to create horrible shadows. Like you have their nose here or glasses, you're going to create shadows. Don't uplight them. Unless you have really good fill light, really good side light. But even then, you don't do uplight. You do a footlight going up like this. If they're here, the footlight's going there. But you need to have really good side, really good front, and even good rear fill. That should be the last light that should be on there is the footlight. But you're saying you can't use any poles or nothing on ceiling. So you can't use any uplights or what's it called, tripods at all. Put them on your speakers. So if you have any kind of speaker, like for example, if you have your, I have the Yamaha. If even like the American Audio, what's it called, the CPX series. You have the ETXs, right? Those guys, let me pull up here for a second so I can show you. Those lights can all be rigged, and they have mounting holes. So you just pop off the mounting hole, and you put in, depending on the light, the speaker, an M8 or M10 bolt, and there you go. Problem solved. Okay, now, in this case, the ceilings are low, so I'm bouncing the lights off the ceiling, and I'm good. Or you could even raise it up a little bit, like raise your speaker up, tilt your speaker down. So if you have, like, for example, the DXR10s, where they can angle down a little bit, so you just raise them up as high as possible, you angle them down, and then your lights hit that. So you are good to go. Day and Night says use a drone. Yeah, that's not going to work, unfortunately. Victor, actually, I already answered Victor's question. RLG asked, have I ever heard of the Lightrider app? Yes, I have. And if you guys would like, I can actually do a live stream giving you a demo of the Lightrider app. So please do me a favor and leave in the comments on the chat if you would like me to do a live demo of the Lightrider app right after this live stream, and I will get you set up. It'll take me just a couple of minutes. And then Tori Myers asks, are there lighting design ideas in my videos? If you're talking about the Master School Dances series, no. There are in tech specs a little bit, but not too much. But I do have all my seminars, a bunch of stuff is on the Gear It First, Tori. So just kind of peruse through on the search, type lighting or seminar, and definitely stuff should come up. And I believe that is it. So Ian says, David asks, how do you know where to place your uplights? Make it clean and neat with wires or power for DMX. I have an event coming up using my 10 uplights for the first time. So you really want to, to me, it's about symmetry. I also let the shape of the room kind of dictate it. If there's a lot of windows, I'll go in between windows. I have Lake Ashton Golf and Country Club. I'm the lighting designer there. One side is solid wall, one side is windows. It is never symmetrical, but that's fine. It looks natural because we're letting the sunlight and the windows, and you're looking out there. No one's going to say the uplights are uneven. No, because the windows are pretty much the main stage. The uplights are only complementing that. If you have a light, for example, Eliminator light that has their the wireless uplights, it's much easier that way. You just put them wherever and you are good to go. But it's one of those that, let your eyes figure it out. Try to have even spacing. Try to make it symmetrical if it's a very plain room. If there's something like a big fountain or beautiful doors or paintings, design around that. Let that be the star of the room. Ian says speakers will be behind them. Venue has almost no lighting. Photographers have had anything because they can't use flash, flood, or stands. Why are the speakers going to be behind the bride and groom? Where are you going to be at? I can't use... Do they have pipe and drape there? You could always use a pipe and drape. Like you could use a flat mount and use a Schedule 40 pipe. They have to have pipe and drape there before. I mean, there has to be something. I would go with a hella bright light pointed at the ceiling and bounce it down. Seriously. No diffusers. Just really bright lights. Point them at the ceilings. Have them top of your speakers. Bounce them off the ceiling. Even if it's behind them, you'll be fine. That's what I would recommend. So let's see here. All right, so we got lots of requests for the light writer demo, so we'll definitely do that. Let's see here. What I'll do is I'm gonna log off this stream, but stay on and we'll make it right. We'll do it right after. Okay, so let's see here. I think that is all the questions. And again, guys, I need you to do me a favor. Please, please, please do me a favor. Let's go ahead and do it now while we pick the winner. So, as always, at this point, no one is going to be typing anything. And I'm just kind of typing the instructions now. And while while you guys are hearing this, by now you should have typed in your name. Do not type anything else. Do not type anything else. While that's going on, do me a favor. Go on Instagram right now. And go give Eliminator Lighting some love. All right? So basically what you'll do is while you guys are typing your names and your names only, you're going to go, let's see, Eliminator. Oh, hang on one second, guys. Let me go ahead and get this set up here. Eliminator Lighting. There we go. So, this is my 4 schools only. I'm like, wait, how have I not followed them? Wrong company. Wrong Instagram. There we go. So we have Eliminator Lighting. Guys, do me a favor. Right now, go show Eliminator Lighting some love. Follow them on Facebook right now. And when you follow them on Facebook, I want you to click on one of these 2 lights right here, whichever one you like the most, right? So we've got 2 of the lights right here. One of these 2. And Albert doesn't know where I'm doing this. But I want you to click on one of these 2 and tell them that Gear It First sent you here and you like their stuff. So let them know that I sent you there. Because I want the sponsors to know that, hey, this channel is bringing you guys out there and you're learning new products. So please, if you've learned something today, I'm begging you. You're not paying for this. So just go on Eliminator, go follow their Instagram, follow them on Facebook, and say, Gear It First sent me here. So while you guys are doing that, let's go ahead and cover up the names. Copy the names. I can't speak today. All right. Let's see. Okay. We're going to copy. And as always, we are going to copy and paste it into random.org. And doing that now. Random.org/list. And the winner is, drumroll please. Hey, look at that. Boy, you came in just at the right time. let me share the screen over here just so everybody can see since I'm able to share. So, Joe Cirillo, congratulations. Hopefully you're in the U.S. If not, we'll have to figure something out. But, Joe, you have won the super cool, awesome high-five Katana LED from Eliminator Lighting. Really cool light. You're going to love it. It's a lot of fun. Honestly, I was never into those kind of effects until Marvin. Like, Marvin totally converted me into that type of effect. I mean, that type of effect, back when it was a halogen one, that was one of the first ones I ever had. And by the way, the founders of ADJ and the whole group of companies, Scott and Chuck Davis, they invented that. They were the first ones to make sound reactive lights. They took one of the dancing Santas from the, like, I think it was the 70s or 80s, you know, those dancing ho-ho Santas. They actually took that mechanism and they put it on a light, and that's how they had the very first sound reactive light. So, again, go show Eliminator some love. Joe, I need you to please do me a favor. Guys, don't go anywhere yet. We still got to talk a little bit because there's some other things you guys need to know, and there's more. Joe, add me on Facebook. I just posted the name on there, and please, please, please message me right away. As soon as I get done with this, I will get you set up with Eliminator so you guys can get your price, or you can get your prize. Let's real quick talk about the stream. We have, tomorrow is one of the last ones, Global Trust America. I'm going to talk to you about creative trust designs and making money with your trust. Wait till you see this prize. It is awesome. Now, the laser safety video is going to be pre-recorded because there's a lot that Pangolin wants to do with this. With that in mind, I was going to stream it that evening, but it's a Friday night. We're all DJs. So nobody wants to be here on a Friday night. I get it. The problem is that I'm going on my 10th anniversary cruise immediately after. So I can stream it Friday night, or I can stream it when I get back on August the 5th during the week. And I'm really thinking that that's going to be best for everybody to do it during the week. I know it'll be easier for you guys. Help me make up my mind. Leave a comment below. Marvin, then have somebody tune in for you. No, seriously, guys, you definitely do not want to miss out on tomorrow's stream as well. Just like this one, I'm going to draw from my personal experiences, show you some of my lighting design and trust in design, and show you how you guys can make more money. Now, if you're going to DJ Expo, definitely check out Eliminator Lighting. But please, guys, do me a favor. Follow Eliminator Lighting on Facebook. There it is right there. Follow Eliminator Lighting on Facebook right now. And other than that, my name is Ronaldo Hoffman here with Gear It First. If you want to check out the stream or talk about the Lightrider app, I'm going to do the demo. I'm going to log off and immediately log on. I just got to real quick put a mark so I can edit the video and everything else. But again, go show Eliminator Lighting some love. They've got some great stuff. You're going to love it. Especially, by the way, if you have a mirror ball, they got a gig bag specifically for the mirror ball. So I still have a mirror ball. I always break freaking mirrors in it. They finally got a gig bag made to carry mirror balls or other items, but it's just the right size to have my mirror ball nice and snug. So definitely check it out. So guys, thank you so much. Lightrider app right after this. Have a great evening, and God bless.